So, Eric, let's see how you like this conversation about the number of episodes of Dynamite relative to Nitro. Let's take a listen.
Something I'm really proud of because it made us the longest running primetime pro wrestling show ever on TBS or TNT. And that includes the great shows that they put on. And I give you props for that. He did, and it meant a lot to me. So I appreciated that. So thank you for bringing that up. I thought that was really cool. And
This absolutely must burn up Eric Bischoff to hear this young guy, Tony Khan, trying to school Eric Bischoff, And a lot of people have very mixed feelings with Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff. But let's see where this goes.
It's mixed opinions, right? And everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I also think Eric's in a unique position because he was in the chair and he did have to make a lot of decisions, and he also knows that you can't go backwards, you can only go forwards, and you can only learn from the things you've done. So I'm very fortunate, I think about it all the time, to still be in the chair because you can make a mistake, and if you make a series of mistakes and you go down a wrong path in pro wrestling, you can end up in a place that nobody comes back from. And
Sure.
And look how many people in pro wrestling went down that door of making a mistake after a mistake, and then they were gone. And sometimes it's not their fault. It's due to extenuating circumstances you can't control. But I'm fortunate that if I make a mistake, that I've always been able to go back and look at it or figure out what can we do to make the next show perfect or make...
Look, that's what mistakes are in life, no matter what. We're not even just talking about professional wrestling. If you don't learn from mistakes, then you're doomed to repeat them over and over and over. Kind of like when someone gets in an abusive relationship or something, and then they get into another, and then another, and then another, and they don't learn anything, and they keep taking punishment. It's kind of the same thing.
Make sure I don't do that again, because
Right.
I really think that course correcting, making sure that we are always on point for the next show is a really strong aspect of AEW. I think that's part of the consistency. And, on the one hand, I could say I've only been a wrestling promoter for 6.5 years, and I've only been booking and producing wrestling shows for 6.5 years. On the other hand, that's one of the longest runs anybody's ever had.
Sure.
So I've been fortunate to learn a lot of things, and I'm fortunate that tomorrow I get to do another one, and Saturday I get to...
But let's be fair. Doesn't his father and doesn't him just own the company? So who's going to replace him? I don't remember if Eric Bischoff owned WCW. I always thought it was, what's his name? Ted Turner that owned WCW. But I could be wrong. I was a WWF guy growing up.
do another pay-per-view, and I'm never ungrateful for that. I'm always very grateful to the fans who watch the shows that we're still in this position.
Yeah, so listen, I don't know, but it feels like he's got more grace for you than we've seen in a while.
Right.
What's your reaction?
I don't have much of one. I mean, he didn't say anything really to cause me to react. Acknowledging the success of WCW, that's nice. I appreciate that. I think the fans of WCW, the former employees of WCW, enjoy hearing that.
Of course.
What else do I think about it? Look, Tony's in a unique position in that he's unaccountable. He doesn't have
Right.
to be, he's not held in account financially.
This is exactly what I was saying. He doesn't have to answer to anybody except himself and his father. Where Bischoff had to answer to Ted Turner and the sponsors.
I was under a microscope financially,
Yep.
as well as from a performance perspective, in a ratings perspective,
Of course.
in an operational perspective, because WCW was owned by Turner Broadcasting. So
See?
the corporate environment that I had to live within is much different
Yep.
in terms of accountability
That's right.
than where Tony gets to operate from. Tony's seat is really accountable to no one but Tony
Right.
from a financial perspective.
Exactly.
I didn't have that luxury. And when you can afford to pay for your seat, it's a lot easier to hold on to that seat. So I'd be careful about...
Now, mind you, I did not watch this video prior to us watching this right now together. And that's basically exactly what I just said before Bischoff said it.
comparing yourself to other people who were, quote unquote, in that chair, and your longevity as it relates to your accountability and the accountability of others who held that responsibility.
There was a conversation, I don't know if you saw it, but Matt Hardy, who we know has been with WWE, TNA, AEW, and now he's back in TNA. He was recently quoted about TNA and WWE sort of working together, and if that was an effort to try to hurt AEW. So when that came up on the conversation, here's what that looked like with Tony and Eric.
I could see that.
Matt and Jeff Hardy on in July, and I asked them, like, what do you make of this WWE TNA partnership? And Matt said to me, like, let's be honest, it's to hurt AEW. Do you view it that way as well? That's the way he put it.
I really like Matt and Jeff a lot. I like Matt and Jeff a lot, and I loved working with them when they were in AEW, and I still love Matt and Jeff very much.
And I don't think it was malicious.
I don't think at all.
But do you think that that's the impetus?
I respect that opinion a lot.
Do you agree with it?
I think it's probably true, and I respect that Matt said it, honestly.
Yeah.
That's really.
I love how Helwani over here keeps pushing it. Like, he's like, so what do you think about it? Do you assume it to be true? Like, he's like, he just wants to get Tony Khan to say, yes, that's what it is. But Tony Khan is trying to remain professional.
Really cool. And I think Matt's a great guy. I think Jeff's a great guy.
What do you make of that? The fact that they're so tight now.
It's interesting. I think it's a very interesting collaboration, but I think Matt hit the nail on the head that it makes sense. And AEW is a very strong challenger brand, and it's not that unusual. Like,
take it as a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
there it is, Bischoff. I was waiting for this. Watch his reaction.
It's interesting. I think it's a very interesting collaboration, but I think Matt hit the nail on the head that it makes sense. And AEW is a very strong challenger brand, and it's not that unusual. Like, take it as a compliment. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I remember when WCW was starting to do better, and Smoky Mountain Wrestling was running shows in Georgia, that Vince McMahon called up Jim Cornette and sent a bunch of the WWF wrestlers to Smoky Mountain Wrestling to help
history repeating itself.
Compete with WCW. So I do think, like, when you have a strong challenger brand, it's not that unusual to see the WWF collaborate with another company.
He goes, how did that work out?
We saw that with Smoky Mountain there, and in Memphis, I think, did some of the same things to compete with WCW shows. So it's not that unusual, and again, I don't take it personally at all. It makes sense looking at the wrestling playbook of the WWF.
Buddy, I heard you say, as he's making the Smoky Mountain comparison, boy, how'd that work out? And of course, we know WCW thumped that head. But listen, I think that's interesting that it feels like he's taking it in a positive way. What say you?
Of course he is, because he's putting himself over, because he's the challenger brand. So the fact that they're having to make these moves to hurt AEW suggests that they look at AEW as a viable challenger brand. That's a beautiful story to tell. It's just got nothing to do with reality. It's cosplay.
WWE, I mean, yes, AEW is established. They've been around for 6-7 years almost now. Look, WWE is the king. I personally can't stand WWE. I haven't been able to really watch for the last, since 2002, 2003. That's when I stopped watching because I couldn't take it anymore because everything was changing. But WWE will always be king unless AEW could freaking explode somehow. But I just don't see it happening.
It's cosplay. Here's why I think WWE is in business with TNA. The sole reason is to mitigate some of the potential that may exist down the road when it comes to monopolizing the business.
Because they're going to.
Strategic legal maneuver that had a very specific purpose. And the fact that, TNA is somehow affected, maybe that's like garnish on the plate for somebody.
Even AEW's affected.
Or AEW. Maybe that's garnish on the plate for WWE. By the way, we've achieved this great strategic success by entering into this relationship with TNA. And oh, by the way, makes Tony scream. That's kind of fun. But it's not, the idea that WWE views AEW as a quote-unquote challenger brand is just, it's entertaining.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Daryl. Came from Massachusetts and I moved to Wisconsin. There's a lot of people that might be asking, why go with Conrad? Why go with...
All right, well, anyway, I agree with Bischoff here. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I do. Okay? The fact remains, AEW just doesn't, it just doesn't hold a candle to WWE's, 50, 60 years in the business or whatever. They're still a newer brand. Where even back then, WCW had been around for quite a while. So these are some things to keep in mind. Do you agree? I want to hear from you. Let me know down below. Do you agree with Bischoff? Do you agree with Tony Khan? I want to hear what you have to say. And make sure to subscribe to Bischoff's 83 Weeks channel. Links in the top of the description. If you liked what you saw here and want more wrestling reaction content, subscribe with all notifications on. And let's just see if we can get one like on this video. All right? So, till next time, keep talking wrestling. We'll keep reacting. And if you don't like that, we got 2 words for you. Subscribe.